But to be honest, if you did have to get, a cheap striker in, I wouldn't mind getting in Connolly. To be honest, he's going to play up front. He's going to start. So if you're looking for a cheap option, and Lewis Dunk, right? Lewis Dunk has done well the last couple of seasons. Looking over at Man United, it comes back to what we were talking about in the first part. I think Bruno Fernandes, you can't really ignore him, even though he is one of the most transferred out. Martial is actually the 5th most transferred player out. I think I can see him getting on the score sheet, opening his account this weekend. So I can see Man United have to respond. If Man United don't respond, then we're all going to be talking about will Ollie get the sack. So I think Man United will respond. I think Brighton will score. It's not going to be a clean sheet, but I think Man United will nick this one.
Okay, so what do you think about Van der Beek, though? Do you think he's worth it or not really? I
think he looks good. I mean, 7 million, I think we need to see a bit more from him, really. He obviously did well, a good instinctive goal when he came on, but I have to see a little bit more. He's obviously got a lot of promise. Ajax have, talked him up massively, saying he's, one of the best academy graduates, as it were. So at 7 million, he might be worth a punt, only owned by 4.2% of FPL managers.
Okay, I like that. So there you go then, listeners. If you're thinking Brighton, Pellers is saying Connolly's cheap, and that's where his money would be. Man United, Pellers is actually saying out of this fixture, the player to have is probably Fernandes. All right, excellent. Thanks for that, Pellers. I had a look at Crystal Palace versus Everton this week, and I've got to say, you can't shy away from Zaha anymore. I think what a fantastic performance from Zaha on the weekend. 2 goals. He could have actually had a hat-trick had one not been disallowed by VAR. So he couldn't have because it was obviously offside. But he started brilliantly. He's scored in both games. He's looking very dangerous. He's only 7.1 million. So, for myself, I'm thinking of Ward-Prowse out. He's gone down to 5.9. I've got a bit in the bank, and Zaha would be the player I'd get in for Palace. I do think he's worth having. Other call-outs for Palace, young Mitchell at the back. What a fantastic shout. I've had him from the beginning of the season. Tyrick Mitchell, 6 points and 5 points. If you haven't got him, get him in. The guy's 4.1 million. So if you don't have him, I'd get him in. I think Palace are looking, pretty strong. That said, they are up against Everton. And Everton have been brilliant so far. 5 goals against quite a lacklustre West Brom team, defensively not the best. Beat Spurs 1-0 as well, though, so that's good omen. And against Spurs, it was Calvert-Lewin on the score sheet. 3 for Calvert-Lewin against West Brom, and Keane as well, and Rodriguez on the list. What I'm going to say, though, for Everton is I personally do not think that Calvert-Lewin is going to get the freedom that he got against West Brom. The first 2 goals were essentially tap-ins. The third was a brilliant header, I'll give him that. But the guy that really impressed me is Richarlison. Now, Richarlison, he come up with 3 assists against West Brom. He got 12 points. Now, we know from history that Richarlison, he does assist, he gets goals. So my money's on Richarlison in this game against Palace. And if you get in a Palace guy, it's got to be Zaha. I'm not seeing any clean sheets here. So they're the 2 players to have. And as you look forward to game week 4, Palace have got Chelsea, so maybe that's a toughie. But a good thing for Everton is they're at home to Brighton. So if you get Richarlison in, now's the time.
What about Rodriguez, Jimmy? What are you thinking? Is he a must-have now? He looks to be,
he's a good player. Good player. But for me, he's the assist of the assist. He did get 1 assist against West Brom, and he did get 1 goal. But for me, he's more going to be the guy that sets up the others, so they're good from the assists. But I don't think he sets them up directly. I think it's going to be the assist of the assist. He's going to pass it to Richarlison, who might cross it for Calvert-Lewin, or vice versa, or he's going to put it out wide. I do think he's worth looking at, but for me, if you're going to get a Everton guy in your team, I would be going for Richarlison. But then, he's a forward. Rodriguez is midfield. He's 7.5. Whilst Everton have got the run at the moment, why not have them both? It's a very good call, Pellers. If you can fit them both in your team, maybe worth it. But I think long term, don't really see that much for Rodriguez. But he won't be in my team, but I could be wrong. I could live to regret that.
Mate, he's listening now, and I'm pretty sure you just fueled him on for this weekend.
I'm sure he will. He'll probably ring in next week. But anyway, that's enough. I don't want to get in any more trouble or go on any longer. It's already been 10 minutes. West Brom versus Chelsea. Who looked at that for us?
Yeah, I looked at that. So Yeah, I think West Brom, as you said, Jimmy Ferg, were a little bit lacklustre against Everton. I think this is a great opportunity for Chelsea to bounce back after the defeat to Liverpool. I think even though they're away, they've got a great chance of keeping a clean sheet. So with that in mind, I think Reece James has had a good start to the season. He even looked okay in the game against Liverpool. Obviously, he got 14 points in his first game week. So comes up with a goal as well as assists. So, for a defender, if you've got him in your team, great. Keep him. If not, think about getting him in. He's only 5.1 million. I thought Werner looked sharp. And I thought he played well. Unfortunately,
lacking the final product, right?
But he was also, ish. I think he tested the keeper, but I think then when they went down to 10 men, he was starved of any service. So, you could just tell, you tell quality, and I think you can tell it's starting to kind of come together. And I think West Brom is a great opportunity in an advert to showcase, what he's worth potentially for FPL as well.
Do you know
as Chelsea.
He's the third most transferred player out this game week, Werner. So people sort of run out of patience already.
That's surprising.
I think that's a knee jerk. I really do think that's a knee jerk.
I actually took him on my team earlier, tired of it. Haven't saved it yet. But he was on my chopping list.
He is still in 37% of teams though. And for me, this is a game where I see him scoring. And NVD, you think he's going to be showing what he's about in this game then?
Yeah, I think so.
What I do like is that you called out Reece James, because just so happens we've got a new intern here on LeftBackFPL. So James Reece, our new intern, happens to be Reece James backwards. He's going to be writing for the LeftBackFPL blog. So if you want to have a little further read of his work, you will be able to see a review of Game Week 2 on our website in a couple of days, and then you'll also see preview of the upcoming games from James Reece's pieces, our intern. So, NVD, good stuff. Thank you for calling out Reece James. I think you've called him out because he's looking decent. 15 points from 2 games, good return. And against West Brom, I can see a clean sheet there as long as Kepa doesn't, make a suicidal pass. Surely he's going to get dropped though after that.
Yeah, I think that's it. His days are numbered. I think they got their keeper coming in from Mendy, I think, coming in from Rennes. So I think, Kepa, unfortunately, his days are numbered. Yeah. Other than that, West Brom, Pereira and Diangana, I think we called them out earlier on the show. They're kind of been the standout players. They're both midfielders for West Brom. They've got 12 points and 9 points respectively. And
if you had to get one player from that game in your team, who would it be?
If you haven't got them in your team, I know he's an expensive option, but I just have a feeling about Werner. So he's the one player, but
it's a good call. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Patrick Vieira, you've been taking a look at Burnley Southampton for us, and we heard earlier from Ricky's cousin. He thinks he's going to be on the score sheet. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think you might be right. Probably a pretty low-scoring game, maybe 1-1, something like that. But yeah, I could see Chris Woods getting one in, and of course Danny Ings. He's the only sort of real firepower they have at the moment for Southampton. They haven't really been, doing as good a job as they, finished off last season. So yeah, I'd only call out a couple of players: Chris Woods for Burnley, Nick Pope in goal. He might be able to keep a cleanie on this one if Ings doesn't have any luck in getting a goal for Southampton.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me is that, these are the two teams that, especially Burnley, you'd expect them to keep a lot of clean sheets. And I think Southampton, to a degree, we're expecting a lot from them this season. And they just haven't bought it. Southampton have let in 6 goals. Burnley have let in 4. Burnley have only played 1, let's be honest. So that's an average of they're both letting in about 3 goals a game. I think it could be quite a few goals maybe. Maybe Woody and Ings could be on for it. But
interestingly, with Burnley as well, Tarkowski's not been playing. There's been rumours he's going to West Ham, and he was sort of the heart of their defence. So not only Nick Pope in goal, will it be the same Burnley as last season where they kept a lot of clean sheets?
Yeah, maybe not. And so Patrick Vieira, that's a good call, Pellers. You've called out the two. You've said there'll be a goal for Ings, a goal for Wood. If you needed to have one of these players in your team, who would it be?
I'd still stick with Ings. He's in my team, and I'm still going to stick with him.
Good shout. I think Ings has been good. I think after what he did on the weekend, he's bounced back. Moving on, guys. Sheffield United versus Leeds. That's the first game on Sunday. Who had the honour of looking at this one?
I've been looking at this one, Jimmy, and I think this is the easiest game of the weekend to call. The result's definitely going to be 4-3.
It has to be.
I don't know in which direction. In all seriousness, Leeds have been very impressive, right? And if you were bold enough to get in some of their players at the start of the season, boy, you could have been rewarded. Looking at the midfield, Costa and Klitsch, 19 and 18 points for 5.5 million. They're bargained. Bamford, also 5.7 million, 21 points. Scored a lot of goals, obviously, but just will they keep it up? Can they keep it up?
Yeah. What do you think? That's the question. Do you think these guys, is Bamford going to keep doing it? I mean, he's in my team.
Well, then I hope he doesn't, because unfortunately I can't really see any going out for a lot of Leeds players. But given Sheffield United the state they're in at the moment as well, right? 0 points so far.
Yeah.
And
lost to Villa as well today, 1-0.
Yeah, and it was pretty lackluster performance by all accounts, right?
It's like the second season syndrome, isn't it? It's they're struggling. They're struggling already.
Yeah, I don't think they stayed on long.
And
I think that's paid off, right? If you've not been on him, because look at him missing the penalty today. Last season, confidence was high, odds on to score, and now they're just not really doing it. So actually, I think Leeds will edge it. Both of these teams, though, if you're looking forward, they've got Arsenal and Man City in the following weeks as well. So bold to be able to make big transfers and getting those in. And hopefully you could pick up some points in the short term.
So if you get one of them in this week, you're probably going to end up getting them out the week after, unless you go for the main man in each of those teams. But if you had to choose one player in this team, Sean, who would it be?
I think it's got to be Bamford, right?
Yeah, Bamford. He looked all right, didn't he, on the weekend? 2 assists, 1 goal. Sheffield United have not kept a clean sheet, and they looked questionable post-COVID, and they've carried that form over. I do think steer clear of Sheffield United. Klitsch for me and Leeds, he takes the penalties and he scores. But that said, Bamford, you've called him out. He's 5.7. He's grown by 0.2. As long as he can keep doing it, then I think he's worth having. Moving on to Captain Russ, your boys. Spurs versus Newcastle. 5 goals in the last game. Are you expecting more of the same?
I think so. I think, looking at Newcastle as well, getting a whipping, 3-0 whipping, and obviously with that kind of scoreline, they've obviously got some defence issues. And the form that we're on at the moment, I would definitely have either Kane or Son in my team. Consider a triple captain as well.
Which one, though?
I think Kane's going to shine this week.
Going Kane.
Yeah, I think he will. With Newcastle, I think Newcastle will score. I think Spurs defence, I wouldn't at the moment waste any money on having any of the players in defence, but I think Newcastle will get at least 1 or 2. Do
you think that'll be Callum Wilson?
I think so. I think Fraser as well, he's going to be running down that wing and putting those balls through. But I still think it's going to be a bit of a whipping.
I think you're very right in the calling out Callum Wilson. He missed a gilt edge header. I can't believe he actually missed it. It looked easier to score it. So, but he's getting in the right positions, and I think you're right to say Spurs are probably going to let a goal in because they haven't looked good at the back at all for a long time, which is surprising.
Yeah. And Doherty's been a bit of a letdown so far.
Yeah,
hasn't he?
yellow carded.
He's a big signing. Got a yellow card. We know him at Wolves getting the assist. So obviously, I'm sure that will change through the season. But right now, I think people will be regretting early doors getting in Doherty.
Do you know what, Pellers? It will definitely change. And the thing is, he was very unlucky, I think, against Southampton because he did get an assist and Kane did score early doors. And it's basically been disallowed from VAR. But the good thing is he's there getting the ball to him, so he will turn it round.
It was a great goal as well.
Yeah. The one thing I think, though, Captain, I think that you guys will not get the space you've got against Southampton. So I'm going to err on the side of caution. You're a Spurs fan. You're putting it on your heart and your sleeve. I'm going to, just go against you, just so I can say it next week if I'm right.
Fair enough. But
hold me if I'm wrong.
At the same time as well, like Spurs have got like a good run of games as well. You know, okay, Man United, you know, the way they play at the moment